In this, the system has evolved the ultimate laws of consciousness that holds all the separate identities of the creative entities of the system of the family of man together, holding them together within the accepted and allowed laws of self-experience within self-definition through the mind, in the unified consciousness field as this reality. These laws are fear, all its various forms. Just like a father rule his children through authority as being a father, the corporation as business, government runs a system as authority with the embodiment of authority as fear. Obviously, the ultimate fear being fear of death, which is also fear of not being part of the system of survival of money. Therefore, the separate identity personalities will follow the system at all cost in that process, finally abdicating the true self that is here, and in this, self is lost. Because one literally give up all and everything of self, to exist within the laws of this reality, the inferiority-superiority power play within and as the unified field, following the laws and existing within the laws, you will survive. If not, consequence is certain and will be deemed an outcast of the system. And within this, one live for the system, for survival, and for money. Self is lost, because there exists no living for and as self. All of this, first manifested in the universe billions of years ago, and in the process of reducing self to separate pieces of the one universal identity, the first great corporation came into being as what man calls the family of heaven, with one patriarch man calls prime creator God. Because of self-separating self from all parts of self that exist as this creation, self within the very act of separation, perceived self to be less than creation, less than all that exists, and couldn't conceive self to be responsible for all that exists and concluded there must be a higher source, more than or superior responsible for this creation and all that exist within and of it. Not realizing that self is the very creator that created this creation, each part of self, as what this existence consists of and also each separate identity as self as beings that exist within this existence equals is self existing within manifested separation. Within the acceptance of separate identities that requires energy to create an experience within a separate identity, a cancer was born. The required energy to create an experience as for instance the mind within which you participate, that feed off of your human physical body every moment you experience an energetic charge in the form of emotion or feeling as the mind draws from your body to nurture its own existence, as a cancer that feeds itself to maintain its existence. And so the reason why aging and inevitable death exists, the mind the cancer that eventually kills you slowly but surely. What exists within, exist without. And the very separate identities as the mirrored corporation, started to consume its body, the universe. Because for identities to be able to exist, to be able to sustain an existence, identities had to take from, absorb from what is here. And as it consumed its body, planets and the stars became manifest, compacted and compressed as balls of residue after the madness of separation has consumed it. The manifestation of existence exists, due to the literal sucking from it, the necessary sustenance to be able to form and shape our own existence and experience of ourselves. A heavenly monster was created, that for eons of time, has been consuming itself until its perceived source as contained in the defined knowledge of consciousness is emptied out. As we continue, to exist within separation, and within this separation, consuming ourselves and all that exists as ourselves to sustain and support our own existence within separation as consciousness of mind according to the knowledge and information we've accepted as ourselves and separation of ourselves, we've been depleting our very own existence as ourselves of ourselves as all and everything that exist. Then self wakes up for a moment, realize self's own stupidity, realize that this must be understood and transcended and start promptly the whole cycle again. This is currently the 11th cycle coming to a close. With only one source of self left from which to derive energy, the polarity system called nature, manifested as earth. And as all parts of self from throughout all dimensions as self, as the separate identities of self congregate now around this source, the consumption level is reaching its peak, affording all an opportunity to awaken from the separate state of personality defined as knowledge and information within the gridline polarity consciousness system. Affording all an opportunity to self-realize self's responsibility towards all that exists, all identities and parts of self of this existence as self, because the truth of self is manifested here within and as the physical. The how is to realize that all parts is actually one and is actually equal as creators, and that all systems, origins, points, that manifest separate from self as a system or a corporation is actually doing so with the permission of self. And that unless self stop consuming self through knowledge and information as manifested form, self as defined by self currently, will no longer exist and forget this all again.